Hola de Casa Frida. Casa Frida aquí en San Agustinio, Oaxaca. Es mi hogar por ahorita. It's my home for right now. Casa Frida. I just wanted to take this time to remind you to be gentle with yourself when it comes to getting to know and love your deepest self and your deepest desires. Because, you know, Michael Singer, who I know some of you know, who wrote, what is it? Unbroken? Or what is his called? The Untethered Soul. That's what it is. So recently a friend of mine on this channel sent me a video of his I've been listening to, and he talks about it like, you know, we're all just here to get clear. Like, as the Tao would say, we're all here to wait till the mud has settled and the water is clear. And in this case, the metaphor is that every blockage that is keeping us from just experiencing things clearly as the way things are is like a rock in the stream of ourselves. Like a rock in the stream of ourselves that causes, you know, rapids and currents, and basically for things to be rough, for us to feel like we need to fight to survive. So really the work on the spiritual path is to remove the obstacles, to remove the rocks, and thus eventually to flow smoothly, right? I just want to say though, along the way, you know, I'm not sure totally how it fits in the metaphor, like whether our desires are rocks, or maybe it's more so that the rocks, the obstructions are what are like making us rough, because we're not allowing ourselves to acknowledge and talk about and love and respect and express our desires. So, and just like a tangible example for this, right, is like, so I want to remove the rocks. So one of the ways I do that is through self-examination. I examine everything about myself and my reactions and my responses and my defenses and my lashing outs and the sources of this. What trauma is this coming from? What experience is this coming from? Where am I holding this in my body? You know, all the things. And say noticing all this in a relationship and noticing that like I'm still in love with this person. You know, because I don't think we choose when to fall in love. So that's like an intrinsic desire when that love is sparked for us by someone, and being gentle in the way of like expressing that even can be a way of taking care of myself. But I'm not attached to needing the outcome to be one way or another. Although I'm not going to deny to myself, like I can do all this analyzing and this picking apart and this putting things in perspective of my childhood and my relationships and my life, and notice all these ways that maybe in some ways this person is amazing, and in other ways they're perpetuating, it's another perpetuation of cycles that I've unhealthily partaken in many relationships over time. And yet, you know, however much analysis we do, when we're in love, we're in love. And acknowledging that is like, no matter how much I need to convince myself that I don't want something, what if I do? And I think that can be really loving. Like, it's also loving to acknowledge, why do I want these things? And what does it mean? And how does it fit in? And what's the context? And where do I need to heal? And where is this feeding me, or where is this depleting me? And then also, though, just like acknowledging what you love, what you desire. And I think maybe acknowledging what we love and desire, like, does remove the rocks to a certain extent. Like, does remove those blocks to us being able to be our true selves, because I think that's a lot of times where the flow gets caught up, like in a rapid, or gets sucked under and it can't flow, is like, or it can't blow. We won't let ourselves acknowledge what we love. Like, we almost can't handle the loving of it. And so we put up a block so that that love doesn't have to flow through us. And that's more so what I feel like, you know? And it's just like, I'm gonna I think getting rid of the blocks is not about berating myself for loving things that my logical, examining, perhaps more objective mind can in some way say are bad for me. I think it's being able to notice the full context and association and meaning of these things and the ways that they're pointing us forward and the habits that they imply. And then also, like, whose poem is this? But I think it's Mary Oliver. But it's like, let the soft animal of my body love what it loves. And so I just think that that is also part of this, you know? For sure. Acknowledging what we love, and knowing that loving is greater than the mind, is, I don't know how to say it. It's almost like is greater than that which can be observed. Like, as soon as you're observing it, like, love is, you know, it's an experience. And I do think that our stories are important, and that's what we're here to do, you know, is tell these stories and dissect these stories that we're living and we're telling. Slice them to remove these rocks, you know? Slice these stories open, dissect them, let the light shine through, let the energy flow through. And also, the best parts of stories are spontaneous. Like, the dissection and the observance and all these things is necessary, but the heart of it, of what you're examining and what you're telling about and what you're living, that can only be felt. Like, that's what's worth telling about. So pay attention to what you love and let yourself love it. That's what's worth telling about. That is what's worth dissecting, but it's bigger than anything that can ever be dissected. So, like, love and accept yourself and acknowledge what you really love. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for hanging out at Casa Frida with me.